The courtroom went completely silent when a tattooed gang member ripped a traffic ticket from his pocket and threw it straight onto Judge Judy's bench. He thought it was a joke, and he believed no one could prove he was guilty. But he had no idea a security camera had captured every second of the crash. What happened next left the entire courtroom speechless, and just moments later, his arrogance turned into instant regret. Stay until the end, because this courtroom lesson changed his life forever. The courtroom froze the moment a tattooed gang member ripped a traffic ticket from his pocket and threw it onto Judge Judy's bench. He smirked, thinking it was just another piece of paper. But seconds later, one calm sentence from Judge Judy turned his confidence into pure regret. The courtroom was unusually crowded that morning. Word had spread throughout the city that a well-known gang member would be appearing before Judge Judy in a civil lawsuit connected to a dangerous traffic accident. Long before the hearing began, every seat in the courtroom gallery was filled. Reporters waited outside the courthouse. Law students filled the back rows. Even experienced court officers whispered that today's hearing could become one of the most memorable cases of the year. At the defendant's table sat 27-year-old Marcus Blade Carter. Marcus had built a reputation for being fearless and aggressive. His arms were covered with tattoos. A long scar stretched across one side of his face. He wore a black leather jacket over a white t-shirt, expensive boots, and a heavy silver chain around his neck. He leaned back in his chair with complete confidence, chewing gum as if the courtroom rules didn't apply to him. He occasionally smiled at the spectators, clearly enjoying the attention. Across the courtroom stood Emily Rodriguez, a hard-working single mother who earned a living as a delivery driver. Unlike Marcus, Emily looked exhausted. Dark circles rested beneath her eyes after weeks of stress. Her family depended entirely on the income she earned from her small delivery business. Just 3 weeks earlier, everything had changed. Emily claimed Marcus had raced through a red light on his motorcycle at a dangerously high speed. To avoid hitting him, she slammed on her brakes and swerved sharply. Her vehicle crashed into a parked pickup truck, causing thousands of dollars in damage. Marcus's motorcycle barely had a scratch. According to Emily and several witnesses, Marcus laughed, looked back at the wreckage for a moment, and sped away without stopping. Judge Judy entered the courtroom. Everyone immediately stood. Marcus remained seated for a few extra seconds before slowly rising with a careless grin. Judge Judy noticed. She said nothing. Instead, she calmly adjusted her glasses, opened the case file, and began reading. The courtroom became silent. Finally, she looked toward Marcus. "Mr. Carter," she said calmly. "Ms. Rodriguez claims your reckless driving caused this accident. What is your response?" Marcus shrugged. "It wasn't my fault." Emily immediately shook her head. "He came flying through the intersection. I had no choice. I would have hit him if I hadn't turned." Judge Judy listened without interrupting. Then she asked Marcus a simple question. "Were you issued a traffic citation after the incident?" Marcus smiled confidently. "Oh yeah." He reached into his leather jacket and pulled out a folded traffic ticket. For a brief second, everyone expected him to hand it to the court officer. Instead, Marcus flicked his wrist. The ticket flew through the air. It landed on Judge Judy's bench and slid across the polished wood until it stopped inches from her hands. A loud gasp spread through the courtroom. Someone in the audience whispered, "Did he really just do that?" Even Marcus's own attorney looked horrified. He buried his face in one hand. Marcus leaned back comfortably in his chair. "There. You wanted the ticket. You got it." The courtroom became so quiet that the ticking clock on the wall could be heard. Judge Judy didn't react emotionally. She simply picked up the folded ticket. She carefully smoothed the paper flat. Then she placed it neatly beside her case file. Only then did she raise her eyes toward Marcus. Her expression remained calm, but her voice became noticeably firmer. "Mr. Carter, do you believe throwing documents at this court is appropriate?" Marcus smirked again. "It's just a ticket." Judge Judy slowly shook her head. "No, it's evidence. And more importantly, it reflects your attitude." Marcus rolled his eyes. Judge Judy unfolded the citation and quietly reviewed it. The report listed reckless driving, speeding, and failure to obey a traffic signal. She looked back toward Marcus. "Did you pay this citation?" Marcus hesitated. "No." "Did you challenge it in traffic court?" "No." "So you simply ignored it." Marcus crossed his arms. "I had more important things to do." Judge Judy raised an eyebrow. Apparently respecting the law wasn't one of them. Several spectators quietly nodded. Emily then stood and handed a thick folder to the court clerk. Inside were detailed repair estimates, insurance reports, photographs of her damaged vehicle, and multiple witness statements. One by one, Judge Judy examined every document. The photographs clearly showed severe front-end damage. The repair estimate totaled thousands of dollars. Emily quietly explained how the accident had left her unable to work for nearly 2 weeks. She had borrowed money from relatives just to pay rent and buy groceries. "I wasn't asking for anything extra," Emily said. "I only wanted him to take responsibility." Judge Judy nodded respectfully. Then she turned back toward Marcus. "Do you have any evidence supporting your version of events?" Marcus shrugged. "I don't need paperwork. I know what happened." Judge Judy folded her hands. "In this courtroom, facts matter. Confidence doesn't." A few people quietly applauded before the bailiff asked everyone to remain silent. Marcus rolled his eyes again. His attorney leaned over and whispered, "Please stop talking." But Marcus ignored him. He smiled confidently. "This whole case is a joke." Judge Judy remained silent for several seconds. Then the court clerk approached with another envelope that had just been entered into evidence. Judge Judy carefully opened it. Inside was a small USB drive. Emily spoke softly. "Your Honor, a nearby convenience store gave me its security footage." Judge Judy looked toward the clerk. "Can the court play the video?" The clerk nodded. The courtroom lights dimmed. Every eye turned toward the large courtroom monitor. For the first time that morning, Marcus's confident smile slowly disappeared. Because deep down, he suddenly realized the camera may have recorded every second of the accident. The courtroom became completely silent as the security footage appeared on the large courtroom monitor. Judge Judy folded her hands and watched without saying a single word. The timestamp showed the exact date and time of the accident. The video captured a busy intersection during the afternoon rush hour. Cars waited patiently at the traffic light. Pedestrians stood on the sidewalks. Everything looked completely normal. Then a black motorcycle suddenly entered the frame. Marcus's motorcycle was traveling much faster than the surrounding traffic. Judge Judy watched carefully. The traffic light changed from yellow to red. Instead of slowing down, Marcus twisted the throttle. The motorcycle accelerated straight through the red light. Only seconds later, Emily's delivery car entered the intersection on a green signal. She had the legal right-of-way. As Marcus sped directly toward her, Emily reacted instinctively. She slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched loudly. To avoid a direct collision with the motorcycle, she jerked the steering wheel to the right. Her vehicle crashed violently into a parked pickup truck. The impact was so powerful that airbags deployed instantly. Glass shattered across the street. Smoke rose from the damaged engine. The courtroom remained frozen as the video continued. Marcus looked back over his shoulder for only a brief moment. Then he accelerated and disappeared down the road without stopping. Judge Judy pressed pause. The silence inside the courtroom felt overwhelming. She slowly looked toward Marcus. "Mr. Carter, is that your motorcycle?" Marcus stared at the frozen image on the monitor. After several seconds, he quietly answered, "Yes." "Were you operating that motorcycle?" "Yes." Judge Judy nodded. "And after witnessing the collision, did you stop to check on MS Rodriguez?" Marcus lowered his eyes. "No. So your earlier statement to this court was false." Marcus said nothing. His confidence had completely disappeared. Emily quietly wiped tears from her face. She stood and looked toward the judge. "Your Honor, I lost my only car. I couldn't work for almost 3 weeks. My delivery business came to a complete stop. I borrowed money from my sister just to pay rent. My little boy kept asking why I wasn't going to work anymore. Her voice trembled. I wasn't asking anyone to feel sorry for me. I just wanted the person who caused this accident to take responsibility. Several spectators quietly wiped away tears. Judge Judy nodded respectfully. Then she turned back toward Marcus. Did you ever call MS Rodriguez after the accident? No. Did you offer to help pay for the damage? No. Did you ask whether she had been injured? Marcus remained silent. Judge Judy sighed. That tells this court everything it needs to know. The court clerk then displayed another document on the monitor. It was a written statement from an off-duty firefighter who had been driving only a few cars behind Emily. He had stopped immediately after the crash to help. Judge Judy carefully read his statement aloud. The motorcyclist looked directly at the damaged vehicle, slowed briefly, then accelerated away without stopping. The driver appeared fully aware that a collision had occurred. Judge Judy folded the paper. Mr. Carter, you knew someone could have been seriously injured, and you still chose to leave. Marcus swallowed hard. His attorney quietly placed a hand on his shoulder. For the first time all morning, Marcus slowly stood. His voice no longer sounded confident. Your Honor, I was scared. Judge Judy looked directly at him. I understand fear. But fear explains your decision. It does not excuse it. The courtroom remained completely silent. Marcus took a deep breath. I've spent years pretending nothing could hurt me. I thought acting tough earned respect. I thought apologizing made me look weak. He turned toward Emily. I was wrong. I'm truly sorry. Emily looked at him quietly. I can't undo what happened. My son and I struggled because of this. But I hope you finally learned something. Marcus nodded. I have. Judge Judy reviewed the repair estimates, insurance records, photographs, and witness statements one final time. She carefully closed the case file. The evidence leaves no reasonable doubt. The defendant ignored a traffic signal. He caused the collision. He left the scene. And he failed to accept responsibility until confronted with undeniable evidence. She reached for her gavel. My judgment is for the plaintiff. Judge Judy ordered Marcus Carter to pay Emily the full cost of repairing her vehicle, along with allowable court costs. A wave of relief spread across the courtroom. Emily covered her face as tears of gratitude rolled down her cheeks. Thank you. Your Honor, she whispered. Judge Judy smiled gently. This case was never just about a damaged car. It was about choices. She turned toward Marcus one final time. You threw a traffic ticket onto my bench as though the law meant nothing. But respect for the law begins with respect for your own actions. Marcus nodded. I understand now. Judge Judy gave one final message before striking the gavel. Real strength isn't about intimidating people. It isn't about pretending you're fearless. Real strength is admitting when you're wrong, accepting the consequences, and doing everything you can to make things right. The gavel echoed through the courtroom. Case closed. As people slowly filed out of the courtroom, Marcus walked quietly toward Emily. He apologized once again and promised to make every payment ordered by the court. Emily accepted the apology, not because it erased what had happened, but because she hoped it marked the beginning of real change. Long after the courtroom emptied, people weren't talking about the traffic ticket Marcus had thrown onto Judge Judy's bench. They were talking about the lesson he had learned. Sometimes the greatest punishment isn't the judgment itself. It's realizing that one reckless decision can change lives forever, and that respect is earned only when you accept responsibility for your actions.